Hello, and welcome to my TED Talk about gluten-free bread. For our Genius Hour project, we were to create or come up with something we're interested in and create something from it, or try to. The professor obviously wasn't too upset if we didn't finish it. I never did get a good tasting gluten-free bread, which was my, sadly, Genius Hour project. Don't try and bake gluten-free bread unless you know what you're doing, really. As much as you learn, unless somebody shows you, you're not going to do so well. So for mine, I tried to learn. So the first thing I did is I had to contemplate the idea of a flour. How do I get a flour that could replicate something like what we're used to with processed wheat or even with whole wheat? The first option I went to, which the internet expounded upon, as well as my mom, who's a baker, was rice flour. Rice flour, unfortunately, is very, very, very dense. So it results in very flat, very heavy baked goods. It still works as a flour, but it didn't taste so good when it's just on its own. So I went to a mixed flour. Next one I tried was a rice and barley mixture. Again, really, really, really heavy. Didn't really work. So I went to a rice and cornmeal. That one I liked a bit better because it was almost like a cornbread, but a really heavy cornbread. So I went with that because it was the closest thing I could try. Some people were suggesting some processed ideas. Some people were suggesting certain roots ground up in the mixture would help lighten it. I don't know that much about baking of bread, so I'm like, what do I? Yeah, stick with what we know, and I went with the mixture of rice and corn. So from there, I needed to get the rest of the recipe. Usually it would just be flour, water, yeast. So I had to figure out how to get my yeast to actually want to live and survive in the actual bread. So my mom suggested a prep or a whatever. It's basically you stick the yeast in a bowl of water with a little bit of sugar and you leave it out overnight and it preps it. So I did that. It worked much better than my first attempt. First attempt was like basically flatbread and it was gross. The yeast actually survived and was actually thriving. So I mixed it in and it made it a bread dough. So I left it overnight to follow the rest of the process. I found it came out very, very dry, very, very plain, and very heavy still. So for flavor, I went to try and add some ingredients. So I wanted to add a little bit of actual flavor to it. So I added some paprika. I know some people, paprika doesn't go in bread. I like the taste of paprika, I just do. So I did paprika, cinnamon, and a little bit of sugar because I'm like, hey, let's lighten it a bit with flavor. So I added that. It was better. It really didn't get rid of the flavor was better, but I wasn't able to overcome the whole silty texture of the rice flour itself. So I tried to use some pre-blended flours. They're just called gluten-free blended flour, and it's got like a list of chemicals and things a mile long. I don't even care to try and go into it. You can find them at your regular stores. They're just labeled by the big flour companies that already exist, a gluten-free flour mix. And there's lots to pick from. That actually really worked well. Well, better. It still didn't taste so great and it was heavier, but I'm guessing that's just, as a gluten-free bread, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. It's going to be heavier, it's not going to be as fluffy, and it's not going to taste the same. But for the actual functions of bread, it actually works well. So I did come up with a good tasting gluten-free bread. Here's the process. Really easy. You go to your car. You get in the car. You drive to Costco. You go into Costco. You buy their gluten-free bread because it's the best one I found. It tastes fantastic. I made gluten-free bread. Because I made money. I then bought the bread. I now have the bread. Effectively, I made the bread exist in my reality. So I did it. That's my best idea, really. I tried several recipes. I tried up to 10 different recipes. They just don't turn out well unless you really know and understand the mechanics for actually baking. And I'm not a baker by trade. I'm a student. I'm a teacher. Well, hopefully a future teacher. Really hope so. Really do. So that was my best guess at it. And since I was pressed for time, I would have loved to continue this for another year, which is the cool thing about the Genius Hour, because I actually want to continue learning about it. But for right now, for my progress in this, I can't actually produce good tasting gluten-free bread, so the best I can do is buy it. Thank you all for joining me. I hope I wasn't too all over the place, and I really hope this fits what I'm supposed to do as a TED Talk. I'm not a professional in what I do, so I don't really see how it could be a TED Talk, but thank you for joining me, and have a great day.